Hi everybody, welcome to another video. Feeling a bit flat today actually with fibro, which is weird because I had oxygen therapy yesterday. It's how quickly it's falling off at the moment, but like I've said in a previous video, cost, energy, fatigue, etc. Not possible to do more of it, otherwise I could be doing it every day and that would really wipe out my week. Anyway, so I've gone for a walk, which normally perks me up. We were promised, well, forecast clear blue skies yesterday. Hasn't quite materialised, but out for a walk anyway. I thought I'd go to the spot that I was planning to do and practice a little bit of infrared photography. If you've been following my socials, you'll have seen that I've posted some shots where I'm having a play with it. I'm practicing a bit. I bought a filter to go on my standard camera. It's not a converted camera, that's out of budget. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with the results. They're not perfect, whatever perfect is, but it's given me something else to focus on and to have a go at being creative. So I'm off for a little wander through to Old Linslade, and I'm going to try and do a little bit of photography with a structure, a building in the shot, the old church. That I've been to before. You'll have seen it in a previous video when I was photographing the spring flowers earlier in the year. This actually is a nice path for some photography. Shapes of these trees, the leading line of the path. The ferns have now fully grown up around us, but not today. So here we are at the churchyard. Some lovely old gravestones to include in the shot, and the church there on the right hand side. However, there's not as much blue sky. There's a bit up there, but further round it's quite cloudy, not so much. So I'm not sure yet, because my plan is, or was, to be down here somewhere and looking back at the church with these gravestones, the older gravestones in the shot, and then the church with the blue sky going black. So I'm not too sure how this is going to come out. Sky, clouds building up in the sky. We can see some blue, not as clear as the forecast was saying yesterday. But and we've got the sun high up on my right hand side, sort of almost up above the tower of the church. So I need to try and find an angle where I'm looking more this way. So I might need to go back to the top of the churchyard and do a test shot. Actually, the weather forecast does say that it might clear a little bit later. So I think I'm going to go... No, actually I'm going to go to the top of the churchyard and we're going to see what we can do while I'm here. Yeah, so I think this wind gust has now picked up, which is going to move the grass around, but that's not too much of a problem. I think up here might be better, so I'm going to set up the camera 18 to 55 lens and see what we can do. I'm just moving around the churchyard trying to work out the best composition. It's something like this, sort of a bit narrower down the side here, and on the other side too. So one of the challenges is that I've got to take the filter off between each shot to focus, because it is very, very dark. Can't see through it. It's more like a 15 stopper filter on your camera. So I'm having to take that off to do the focusing on the back of the camera. and then applying it like I would do a 10 stop once I've got my focus, etc., and hoping I don't move the lens focus. I'm using ISO 500 at the moment. I've not got my shutter release cable out to do longer exposures, but as it's just practice, I'm just doing it within the 30 second, anything up to 30 seconds that I can do in camera, rather than having to get the shutter release cable out. I've got an aperture of f11. At the minute, those readings are they're not what I'll be using, because obviously it'll be going to, rather than 1/640 of a second, it'll be going to something like 20-25 seconds once I've got the filter on. Custom white balance has been set previously on previous shoots. Hope you can hear me over the train. And so I've left that as it is. It's just something I'm playing with. It might need changing in the future as I develop my skills more and understanding a bit more. But it's doing the job at the moment from the images that I've done. And it's a new skill. It's good to learn. It's really challenging my brain fog. I have to remember from, if I've been shooting street, what settings to go back to. But it's good to just stretch my brain and well, try to, and work through that brain fog. So now that I've got the filter on, it's 25 seconds at f11 ISO 500. Let's see what we get. So I've just set up inside this little gateway here, which I believe is where they used to bring the coffins and bring them into here before they went for the ceremonies. Because I think on the other side of this gateway there might be a shot here, which is more what I had in mind. Sometimes with brain fog it takes me a while to get my thoughts together. I just have to be in a place, observe, work things out, probably a lot slower than maybe some others would, where their cognitive function isn't being affected. But I think something like this might be more what I had in mind. It means I've got the sun behind me, I'm in the shelter of the archway here, and I think this might be the shot for today. So I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. While I was learning how to process these images, I was sharing some files with some friends, and somebody noticed that the images I'd taken on my Canon 18-55mm lens, there was a bit of a hot spot in the centre of the images. Nothing major, but just enough to notice, and needed a bit of work to balance out the image a little bit more. So the image you're seeing here has needed a little bit of extra work. With the way that my vibro is affected by using screens, it's something I'd rather avoid getting into too much detail, too much editing, but I've had a go here, and hopefully you won't notice. So what I decided to do on this shoot was switch to my 50mm lens, prime lens, and have a go. And here's the image, and I'm really pleased with how clean and crisp the image is. There is no hot spot. However, if I want to do wide landscape images, then it means I will have to use the Canon 18-55, and I'll just need to learn how to cope with addressing the hotspots. So I think this is going to be my last shot of the day, because I can feel Fibro telling me that it's time to rest. I can feel my brain starting to slow right down, and my body as well. So these three grave sites here line up quite nicely from left to right. Got the sky in the background, we've got the little building in the background. So I'm going to give this a try and see what happens, and I'll show you the shot on the screen. So I was planning to go and do a shoot over here somewhere. I'm going to cross the road here over to a meadow, and there's a lone tree shot with a field of crops just beyond here next to the railway. But as you can see, the sky is not really conducive to IR photography today. And as I just mentioned, there's also another very valid reason that those of us living with fibro have to really be aware of, or we are constantly aware of, and that is listening to our bodies, to our brains, if the message can get through, about when you've done enough. It's about a 25-minute wander out to here, wander at a reasonably slow pace. Plus I've done a few more shots than I probably thought I would. The original shot I had in mind, where the sun is, etc., hasn't worked, or won't work. I'll have to come later in the day when the sun is over there somewhere in the west, later in the afternoon for that. But it's good to get out and get some air in a quiet, peaceful place. I'm lucky I can go somewhere so quiet so quickly, relatively quickly. But then remembering that I've got another activity this evening, which always overloads me anyway with the social element, using my brain, etc., the social interaction, and having to remember that, because that in itself is about 5,000 to 6,000 steps. And I like the wander, it helps me unwind after the meeting before I get home and it's bedtime. But it does mean that, as well as the weather not playing ball for the other location, that I need to think about getting back. And as much as I prefer to be outdoors, this is where the acceptance and the balancing act of living with fibro comes in. Sometimes it's frustrating to think I've got to just rest, be it in the park next to where we live, because we don't have a garden, but just doing something very little so that I then cope with what I do need to do. So yeah, this is the constant battle of pacing those of us with fibro have to deal with. It's what we're constantly thinking about. We struggle with brain fog, but we're constantly assessing, like a computer, the next little thing, every little micro move, everything we're going to do. But yeah, so the pacing thing is critical, as is the speed that I'm walking now, etc. to home. I can feel if I'm overdoing it and have to slow off. It's like brakes. Even though you feel energized, for want of a better word, to do something, fatigue just drags you down. The brain and whatever's going on in the spine just, I don't know how to explain it apart from how I've done in the past. Those of you with fibro will understand and will know, and hopefully those that haven't will appreciate that even though I'm out doing these videos and doing my photography, it's essential just to keep me active as I can, but also to try and just have something, without no pun intended, to focus on, which is what the neurologist said to me is critical, having something to focus on. And for me that is photography. Sometimes it's my music, but again the fatigue kicks in with that. Photography is a bit easier. I can sit somewhere, go to a spot and do some photography, or just wander and I'm getting several therapies in one if I go out into nature. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and please help spread the word, sharing the links, and I'll see you in the next one.